Hey, everybody. Grant Miller here, Miami Community Newspapers. Big election coming up next Tuesday in the city of Coral Gables. We've got Rhonda Anderson, one of the candidates. In what seat are you?
I'm in seat 2. And don't forget, we have early voting Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, exciting.
Yes.
Very exciting. So let's talk about some issues. I'm going to just name some of the issues, and then we'll jump in. We got Wawa. We're going to talk about the West Hammocks Park. That is not in Coral Gables, but surrounded by Coral Gables homes. Miracle Mile. I use the word transportation. A lot of people like to use traffic and smart development, overdevelopment, not development, but I just like the word smart development. So let's start with smart development. Okay. What is considered smart development, overdevelopment, not enough development, tax base? Let's talk about that.
Well, I don't use the word smart development. I'm talking about because it's.
I hope they use smart development.
Well, I think it's been overused and abused. And for that reason, I try to talk about development that's reasonable. You know, I'm not on the anti-development league. I'm on the reasonable development league, and development that has sufficient setbacks. The density is controlled to where it's not impacting us negatively. There's many stories I can tell you that I've learned about Codina when they put in the Burger King building, wanted to move the building back, but the city has promoted buildings.
Where is that located?
That is on Lejeune Road.
Okay.
The city had promoted it to be up to the sidewalk, which is not what people want. You want a nice, safe area to be able to walk where you don't feel like you're being pushed into major traffic and feel unsafe, let alone the when it's raining, all the splashback you get from walking along Lejeune Road as a pedestrian. So,
people don't realize water drains down on the side, and the car is driving, you're going to get hit with the water if the sidewalk's small.
Yeah, if the sidewalk's small and if you don't have landscaping there. If you look at Ponce, we have some bushes there that prevent the splashback on people, plus you have parking on it, so it protects the pedestrian a little bit from all the splashback that would ordinarily occur, like if you're on Lejeune Road. So if we want to promote people to walk, we got to design our city better. We need to have sufficient setbacks. We need to have more green space. So smart development, as you may call it, or as I call reasonable development, will provide sufficient green space, control the density, and provide a flow of traffic that does not impact the neighborhoods that surround it. It takes work to do that, okay? So what do I think I can do about this development? We have several different things that we can do. The Mediterranean bonus has given us too little and given away too much.
What is Mediterranean? What is that?
It was an idea of folks to get away from the glass buildings, to require better design in buildings. But as applied now in some buildings, it is not the quality of architecture that we're really looking for. It doesn't promote these setbacks. It promotes building all the way up to the sidewalk, okay, which is not what people want.
So I understand, when you walk on a sidewalk, there's no setback. That building's right there.
The building is right
Usually
there.
You're saying there's some trees or some bushes. Now that what you're talking about, you're walking with a big shadow.
We're walking with a big shadow. So let's take Lejeune Road across from the Coral Gables High School as an example. If you're in Merrick Park area, you have some trees. It's comfortable. It's walkable. You go a little further north, beautiful building, but because it's built up to the sidewalk.
That's Merritt Place, I think.
Merrick Place. Okay.
No, that's that apartment complex.
The shopping center.
Okay. But I'm talking about right on Lejeune, right across from Coral Gables High School. There is that condominium called Merritt Place. There's no setback.
And there's a building called the Henry.
Okay. Gotcha.
And there's no setback on it. Gold LEED standard building, gorgeous building. But if it had been moved back another 10, 20 feet, it would have been outstanding. So. Those are the types of things, you put the trees along there, it's inviting, it's walkable. That's a Coral Gables look. Building it up to the sidewalk is more like, you're going back to Brickell, Manhattan, places like that, where you're going to have that colder feel of a big city as opposed to a Coral Gables type look itself. So we got the Mediterranean bonus we need to readdress. What are our priorities? How do we want to modify it? It's a conversation we're going to have with each other, because just putting a little Italian tile on the front porch, a door on it that looks like the Fink building.
It's like having a pig and you put lipstick on, it's still a pig.
It's still a pig. Yes.
You like that one? You like that comparison?
Yeah, yeah. That is it. That is it. It's not what we want. It's not what the residents want. As of right projects, another big example. The Aloft Hotel was one of them. I got no notice of it. It didn't go through.
And you live close to it.
I live within 1,000 feet.
That's the loft on Lejeune. You said the loft?
Aloft, yes.
Yeah, on Lejeune.
On Lejeune. The notice I got was the big hole being dug in the ground, and noticing that there was only 24 inches of sidewalk space between Lejeune Road and the pole that was there, because they didn't allow sufficient space for strollers, for even your briefcase, let alone an individual in a wheelchair or a walker to walk in front of that building.
So if you're in a wheelchair, you got the telephone pole, the light pole, right?
The light pole.
So how do you get around it?
You would have to go around the block. You would not be able to traverse that unless you went out into
ADA knows about that location?
Well, I took tape measure. I sent a picture to the city attorney. I said, we have a problem here. So the building front was redesigned to add 36 more inches.
Gotcha.
Okay, the building front was, in the sidewalk was widened to add 26 feet on Valencia, so that as cars were zipping around the corner off Lejeune Road, they weren't necessarily, hitting pedestrians.
For us who don't have our kids are grown up or know somebody that's in a wheelchair, you don't think about these things. But we have to think about all that. The city elected officials have to think about that. We have to be courteous for everybody.
I've worked on over 100 accessibility cases, Bayside, Jackson Memorial Hospital, areas down in the Keys, Pennycamp Park, a wide variety of cases, including Yankee Freedom was a vessel down in the Key West. You can provide access, And the idea is just to provide access. We're not trying to push people out, push people away. We want people enjoying our city.
Well, as we talked about before, Coral Gables is one of the most exciting cities in South Florida, not in Dade County, South Florida. Yeah. The nightlife in Coral Gables, because everybody feels comfortable with their police department. Everybody is out in Coral Gables. Is a user-friendly, walk-friendly city, downtown.
It can be better, and that's what I want to do. I want to make it better.
Okay, next issue, transportation. As most people call it, traffic. You have the major corridors from South Dade to downtown. You got Lejeune, Ponce, 37th to the border. Let's talk about transportation.
Transportation.
Or traffic, whatever way you want to go.
Transportation has been cutting through our city for a long time. There's several things we can do about it. We can promote the county to run that rail down further, because no one's going to go from a bus, get out of a bus, wait at a station for then picking up a rail car to get downtown. And that's, one of the sources of our cut through traffic. The other thing is every time that a project comes online, you can get benefits for your community. The very first one I worked on was that Burger King building, which is now the Picardi building. And I worked with the developer to be able to get the traffic calming in part of the area back in 2004. That was the beginning of my career, if you want to call it, on traffic calming issues. We did a Segovia median, we added the traffic circles, we added drainage, we added crosswalks, things of that nature. We totally missed out on that with the Aloft Hotel. Why? Because we didn't get notice. If I had notice, we would have been addressing more issues.
You say you didn't get noticed. The residents get noticed, but the city elected officials should be more aware of it. Yeah. If they're aware of it, they didn't do a good enough job.
Yes, but as city elected officials, you need to reach out to your community and ask them what is happening in their area. You won't know unless you live in that neighborhood what the problems are. Plus, you benefit from all the wealth of experience people have, different backgrounds, lawyers, doctors, CPAs,
Lejeune and Ponce, now I'm confused. Is that a city street or county street?
Lejeune is a state highway.
State highway. So you really don't have control of that.
Yes, I do.
The city does?
The city doesn't. No. But I contacted FDOT and the county and got it to the point where the FDOT, Florida Department of Transportation, asked the city, what do they want? Now, I could not, as a resident, tell FDOT, so I sent it to the then city manager to respond to.
Okay.
I didn't see the changes. I had a list of items that we needed.
All right, but just to let the people know, those are state streets, and the Coral Gables can give input, but it's up to the state, correct? Some people would say, why don't you put a calming circle on Lejeune Road? I'm sure some people think that.
I'm sure some people think that, but it's a matter of negotiation. Okay, and my experience as an attorney for 33 years, I've mediated lots and lots of cases. There's always a way that you can try to convince somebody that we need to do something about it. You have the stats where people are getting hurt, that we have stats where the box is being blocked in front of the Publix on Lejeune, and I simply asked for, let's mark that off and tell people not to block the box so that we can issue some tickets.
What box?
The box of the intersection.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because if the traffic on Lejeune is blocking the traffic of the Valencia corridor there from going through when the light turns green, we're not moving traffic. If you're not moving traffic, you're backing it up. People are taking alternative routes through the residential streets.
Gotcha. All right. Coral Gables, no question, has great inner city through its community. It has the freebies. It has the little trolleys. Doral and Coral Gables are way ahead of everybody. What else could they do on the freebies and the trolleys? Is there other things we could do?
Yes. I'm glad you brought it up because I wasn't done with transportation.
That's transportation to me.
It is transportation. The trolley service, I think, can be expanded. As I've talked to thousands of people, there appears to be a need and a desire to have it south of US 1, bringing people up to Miracle Mile. Why? They don't like to do the drive. They don't like to hassle with the parking. They want to arrive to...
You're talking about the trolley.
I'm talking about the trolley. And from our parking garages, we can help people get places quicker and better, and so that they will actually want to come downtown if we have a trolley during peak hours.
That's a great thing. I didn't even think about that. You're
stationed there,
you're driving,
ready to go.
You're driving. You can't find a parking spot, so you pull into the parking in the garage. Then you get all confused. Like, where do I go?
So, and it's hot. And it's summer. Okay.
You need a freebie or
somebody
there that gets you to your location.
Location. So I've tried, pulling that freebie during peak hours from just an experiment to see how long would it take me to get a freebie during peak hours when people want to go to dinner, when people want to shop. And if after you're waiting for 20 minutes, no,
you're right.
It's not working.
And it's not just, it's called freebie, but you could have other companies. Right now you have a contract with freebie, but you might end up hiring somebody else too, different company.
I'm sure that there's other, I'm not foreclosing that.
Yeah, we all call it Lyft, but there's also, what's the other one?
Uber.
Uber. There's Uber and there's Lyft, but Uber does such a great job marketing. But Coral Gables, I love that idea, because if you had somebody waiting for you at the parking thing, the garage, I'd probably park in there more often.
I would park in there more often because I know I can go seamlessly from there onto my location. I don't want to be standing out there in the heat. I'm dressed up nice. I don't want to be sweaty and smelly and when I arrive at my location.
Good point. Anything else on transportation?
Traffic calming, but that goes with every development project, and I've done it with every development project that I've had an opportunity to work on.
Yeah. You want some Cuban coffee?
Yeah, I'll take some Cuban coffee. Okay. It's early enough.
Okay.
It won't keep me up.
The traffic calming, people after a while don't slow down that much. The things in the road, the rubber pads.
Oh, they become fun for some folks.
Oh yeah, it happens once and you'll never speed on that street again. So
no, I actually saw somebody in a 4x4 just taking it. It was a joyride.
There it is right there.
Thank you.
Okay, Miracle Mile just got approved. 4-1, was it 4-1?
It was 4-1, yes.
People don't realize, they think that they got all this zoning change. It wasn't a big zoning change. You want to talk about it and your thoughts about it?
The original height that was in the zoning code was much higher. And back in the 1980s, the Zane-Friedman Amendment brought it down to the 70-foot level, with the Mediterranean bonus would get you up to 83 feet. If we downzoned it in height alone, and did just that, our great city would be sued. Our residents' taxes would be impacted as a result if we just brought down the height. I was surprised to see that it wasn't preserved as a historic designation.
Easily could have been.
Easily could have been. I was disappointed that it wasn't, because that would have solved a lot of problems. But how can you downzone something without resulting in liability? You need to give something back. So in February, there was an appraisal that determined that the 3-story with a 4th story setback was the maximum that we could downzone without getting sued. So on the front...
Excuse me. I have to correct you. You could be sued, but lose in court. It's 2 separate things, correct?
That's true.
I know people don't realize you could always be sued. The chance of losing are very slim.
Right. And there's such things as frivolous complaints, too.
Yes.
Then you can go after the other side for the attorney's fees, et cetera.
I know. I like that one.
Right. You like
Okay.
that one.
So
It's the only thing that helps balance it.
that's correct. So to finish on your thought on the 3-4.
Well, on the 3-4, what some people don't realize is on the front side of the mile, that's the only area that was downzoned. On the back side of the mile, that zoning is still, what it was density-wise. The SunTrust building is an example. It'll be breaking ground.
Where is that located?
That is in the 100 block of Miracle Mile. Okay, so on that corner, it's a small building. They're going to repurpose the front building, put a pool on the top, and in the back on the Anastasia side is where the residential tower is.
Is that the corner that just got knocked down, the old Italian restaurant?
No. That's on Lejeune.
Okay, gotcha.
It's on Lejeune. I never saw those plans, when that came through. I understand someone said that was an as-of-right project, so no one got notice of that going forward. But on Anastasia, you have 130 units, residential going behind it. In the front, you have the low-rise portion of the building with the SunTrust. Barnes & Noble, without the downzoning that occurred, could have provided similar density and continued up high, at the 70 foot with the 83 feet, and provided adequate parking behind. So those were the risks that we were running. It wasn't the first time that someone worked on trying to build something at 7-story height on Miracle Mile. So that's why I felt that the best option for now was to downzone it to the 3 stories with a 4th story setback. Hopefully get a nice restaurant up there,
Well, Coral Gables has now had a little slide, but I think the restaurants are just climbing.
They are climbing.
Gramercy, you got to make a reservation way ahead of time. And then next door, there's a new restaurant opening soon.
Right.
Top-notch restaurant. So let me turn my phone off. That would help. If that would save it. Okay, let's talk about Wawa. That's a big issue in Coral Gables.
The Wawa. Okay. First problem I have with it is the neighbors were never notified. And I canvassed all the neighbors in that neighborhood. And I don't know if you guys can see this. But
Yeah, you can see it perfectly.
Yeah, that's basically the triangle of residential areas surrounding the Wawa. And
Can you explain where that is? Because not everybody knows where Wawa is.
the Wawa empty lot right now that you'll see where everything is blown down is across from Carver Elementary. It's on the US 1 corridor there. But you have an elementary school right here. And when I canvassed this area, I did it in 2 sections. The residence is here next to the elementary school, and you have residents here directly across from the Wawa itself. These people didn't get any notice. They were astounded, about the impact that this will have on their quality of life, on the value of their properties, and nothing has been done in their community to make it beneficial. Like what I did with the Burger King building, we got traffic calming. Nothing has been done for these people. And the cars go running through there. These people on this side of the Carver Elementary School have trouble turning into their community because the traffic backs up so much. Now, just wait till all this ends.
Wawa, I never been there, but everybody talks about how crowded it is. The gas is cheap, the food's good inside, but that doesn't help the neighbors.
It doesn't help the neighbors. You wouldn't want it in your backyard, and they don't want it in their backyard either. Now,
but how did it get the city?
There was litigation.
Litigation.
Okay. And I engage in litigation. I always talk to my clients. Okay. I always talk to my clients about what they want. That wasn't done here. This is the neighborhood. This was approved through a zoning provision that allowed it to be approved by either the city manager or the city attorney. There was no vote on it by the commission. Okay. It never
Is that
went.
standard? If there's no zoning change, does it go in front of the commission?
Well, the project totally changed. I consider that a substantial change. If you're going from, a commercial restaurant to a gas station, that's hugely
Well,
different.
it went from supposed to be a senior citizen building
Right.
to a gas station.
To a
High traffic.
High traffic, trucks, Wawa's bringing trucks.
And I thought
too.
you couldn't have alcohol within 100 yards of a school. Is that correct? 100 yards? I don't know what it is.
I would have to check myself too, but yes, alcohol is a problem within that area, as are other substances too.
Yeah, but that's whatever they sell in the store. I never knew that. I thought you couldn't do it, but maybe it changed. All right. So what other issues are there with Wawa?
Well, we have the issue of the trees. The trees were done in total disregard for the community surrounding it. If this was in our backyard, such as on Miracle Mile, we moved the trees. We paid for having trees that same size moved.
I don't understand it. For $20,000, for 25, they could have moved those oaks that took 25 years to build,
right,
and replanted them somewhere. Because January, February, March, April, May, they're not growing. They're kind of, and then you could have moved them. Instead, they spent $10,000 to $15,000 to cut them down. I just don't understand the reasoning between Wawa, the developer. They weren't smart enough just to pick them up and move them somewhere else.
Well, they have to plan it in advance too. You need to root prune the trees. You just don't go moving them like a potted plant.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, I've moved oaks.
Okay.
So I know the process. And if you looked at the process that was done on Miracle Mile too, the first were, root prune. You select the ones that are healthy that you can do it with. You move them during the cool months, and you put a sprinkler up in there and constantly keep it wet with a timer. If you do that, they'll make it.
Gotcha. All right. Last but not least, there's a big issue of West Matheson Park that's surrounded by Coral Gables homes. The county Parks Department have a beautiful plan to improve the park.
Mm-hmm.
Some neighbors wants to drive through the park. Some neighbors don't want it through the park. They all think that the people that live in that community don't want cars in their neighborhood. What's your thoughts about West Hammock Park?
Well, the first thing we need to do is sit down and discuss all the issues. You have what appears to be rock pineland in there, some sensitive lands. You have some areas that are not sensitive lands. You have the traffic issue and safety issues that all have to be taken into account. And some people don't want the boardwalk. And then you have accessibility issues for individuals in wheelchairs. How do we satisfy all these needs and keep everybody happy? Okay, I did go out there on site with folks, and they complained about the signs that were put in front of residential homes for no parking. And I explained to them that I understand why there's no parking signs there, because I had folks from Mercedes-Benz parked on my front lawn when they did not want to pay for the parking there either. The issue is where
Mercedes-Benz, the dealership?
The dealership.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they paid for parking for my secretary, but that's why I was irked about it. And they were blocking the view for people to be able to carefully, turn around corners, all these cars all over the place, all their employees. So I think first we need to determine where the sensitive lands are.
Within the park.
Within the park.
The Matheson Hammock. And then within the Matheson Hammocks project, there is some county land on there too. People don't realize that. It's not all donated. Some of it's county land by itself.
Right. And I understand some of it was used for a dump, after the hurricanes. And I've been told but I still would have to follow through on conversations that the county is willing to have a dog park in there that is fenced, which would keep the dogs out of the sensitive lands and help protect the public coming through. We need to have a meeting on it after the sensitive land issue is determined.
Correct.
First, you got to figure out what is sensitive. I mean, we don't have much rock pineland left in Miami-Dade County.
That's correct. We don't.
Yeah, and there's a lot of protected species that rely upon that rock pine land to live.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we covered the Wawa, a little bit about the dog park, Miracle Mile. That's very interesting to me. The transportation and reasonable development, not smart.
Reasonable development.
And it's a toughy situation. Coral Gables has done a pretty good job at it compared to some cities. And, you know, Sunny Isles, if you live west of Collins, you can't see the sunrise.
Yes.
And the city wanted to build on the west side of Collins big high rises.
Mm-hmm.
And the neighbors said, no more.
No more.
Because then you couldn't see the sunset.
Right.
So citizens, residents make a big decision. You, in the way it sounds, every issue we talked about, you want to have community meetings, town meetings, talking about the issues, reviewing it. Am I correct? That's what you're big on.
Yes, I'm big on that. That's the way I got my projects done in my area. I knocked on all the doors.
Okay, so let's backtrack. How many years you lived in Coral Gables?
I've been there 33 years. I followed my husband, and who's been there since the 50s.
Wow. Wow. And again, what do you do for a living? What kind of law?
Well, I do a blend. I started out in criminal law because it got me in a courtroom, and you learn how to handle the courtroom very well. But I've evolved over time, and I do civil litigation now. I represent people who do import-export work and handled a wide variety of issues from tax and on products, import taxes, excise taxes, IRS issues, a wide variety of issues. So, you know, yes, we dig through records, we examine records, and we look for the trail of money and where it goes and evaluation of products.
Great. Early voting Saturday and Sunday.
Early voting Saturday and Sunday. There is a drop box for your vote by mail ballot. I suggest you use it. There's a blue tent. You can just go there with your ID and get your
when you pull
signature.
up, they check for your ID, they check it off, and then they put it right in there. So
Right.
the county election department I watched in Coral Gables did an outstanding job. So I want you to look at this camera here and close this out. Why they should vote for Rhonda Anderson.
Because I listen to you, and I'll always listen to you, and try to find the best solution to every problem. There's not a problem we can't solve if we work together. I value our community because we have such wonderful people in the community that have great ideas, and I know that we can come to solutions like I've done so in the past. So,
All right, everybody, Rhonda Anderson.